So, Lord, your word is not silent on the issues of finance and money. We pray that you would bless this short period of time that we have, that your word would ring clear and give us wisdom. We want to move and we want to act wisely as you have given us instruction. In your great name, amen. Okay, so you guys all want to be rich, and that's why you're here. Great choice. Unfortunately, what we're going to start with is that I want you to think of your finances as this idea of that you are going to plant a tree that your grandchildren are going to find shade under. We're going to start just to get that picture in your head real quickly. So, building a financial legacy that sounds exciting, it sounds thrilling, it's what we want for me and my family. The word tells us that a wise man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. We should all want to be considered wise. This should also be a challenge to this foolish idea that our society has about every generation should pull themselves up by the bootstraps. That's not actually biblical wisdom. You should want to train your family to handle money well. You should want a life that builds wealth, and that when you hand it to them, money and inheritance is an accelerant. If they're bad with money and bad with these choices, you're going to pour fuel onto a fire that's burning the wrong way. If you're taught to handle money well, inheritance, a blessing, a sudden inrush of good resources actually accelerates a good plan. What you're already doing right, it's going to build that up. And so there's lots of concerns about, if money comes in quickly. Money ruins those that are already ruining themselves financially. If you're doing well and you're making smart decisions, it'll actually be a rich blessing. So, what does God's word say about building wealth in God's economy? Proverbs 13:11. Dishonest money dwindles away, but whoever gathers money little by little makes it grow. Proverbs 21:5. The plans of the diligent lead to profit as surely as haste leads to poverty. Proverbs 12:11. Those who seek their land will have those who work their land will have abundant food, but those who chase fantasies have no sense. Proverbs 28:20. A faithful person will be richly blessed, but one eager to get rich will not go unpunished. To borrow a phrase, here's the big idea. In God's economy is slow, diligent planning and long-term careful consideration. It's not a get-rich-quick scheme, and it will never be, and that will not work. I'm not a financial advisor. I don't pretend to play one on the internet. There's a lot of bad financial advice, and generally just a lack of knowledge when it comes to this subject. So really, we're going to talk a couple basics. Said there's a handout there that has a little bit more, and seek good counsel after this. Hopefully, this is just a primer to get you started and thinking quickly. Really, spend time in the book of Proverbs, honestly. A lot of my stuff's going to be right out of Proverbs, because there's so much knowledge in there, and just spend some time really thinking it through. So the big question is, can you leave a financial legacy to your grandchildren in this economy? Is that even possible anymore? Is that something that we can even, what would that even look like? So, first, build on foundation. Get your mindset right. Psalms 24:1. The earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. Psalms 50:11. For every animal of the forest is mine, and the cattle on 1,000 hills. He owns the earth, the hills, the animals in them. It's all of God's. The foundation of wealth is that it's all of God. He can do what he wants with it. He can give it and he can take it away. And he's right to do that. So does that mean we have no responsibility? If God's just going to grant, he'll just pour money out or take money away, it's all on him. I guess, my hands are clean on this. 100% not true. We have a great responsibility. One of my favorite proverbs for many things, but specifically in this area, Proverbs 21:31. The horse is made ready for the day of battle, but victory rests with the Lord. Your responsibility is in the daily discipline and diligence. God is in the victory business. Your job is the daily boring stuff, and God grants victory and success with these things. I'll run through a couple more real quickly. Luke chapter 14, 28-30. For which of you wanting to build a tower doesn't first sit down and count the costs? Proverbs 24:3. A house is built by wisdom and established by understanding. Proverbs 27:23. Know well the condition of your flock and pay attention to your herds. I'm sure many of you, we might have some shepherds and some herders around here, but maybe you don't have a flock or sheep, but you have resources. You have something that's currently working. What's the condition of it? Do you actually know what your finances look like? Proverbs 21:5, the plans of the diligently certainly lead to profit, but anyone who is reckless certainly becomes poor. Then there's the parable of the talents. Who wants to be the one who takes the little bit they're given and just buries it in the dirt and hopes for the best? That's not, and God, what's God say about that? What's Christ's response to that? It's not a great answer. So, many of you are thinking, okay, this is budgeting and investing. This is going to be the boring stuff. Yes, you are correct. Those are the very tools that we're going to use. It's on the sheet, but real quickly, plan to build wealth slowly. It takes time. That's how it really works. You're going to learn, build a stable budget. Everything's built off of a stable budget. How's your herd doing? That's the question. How's your budget? How's your herd? Build up, the simple Dave Ramsey stuff, if anybody's heard his stuff. Build up a small emergency fund, recommended $1,000 to $2,000. That's going to save you for when the washing machine breaks, when all of a sudden the car needs brakes, when something happens. It's amazing how much that little bit of money will just solve so many problems and not lead you back into debt. And then you work towards building more. Building a long-term emergency fund for a job loss, 3 to 6 months is a minimum expenses recommended. Give regularly and invest. That's it. Those are basics, and they're all on the sheet. But I want to explain debt real quickly because, unfortunately, we have a horrible idea on debt. So, the borrower is slave to the lender. That's the truth. We don't believe that because everyone is in debt in Canada, pretty much. In fact, most Canadians are one of the most indebted, wealthy countries in the world. And Ontario is specifically on the high side of that. And so the air you breathe is debt. Everyone's in debt. And so you don't really realize how much of an anomaly, how bad that really is. Many Canadians are $200 away from financial collapse. $200. That's where that $1,000 I said will save many people. One unsuspected bill will crush many families. One small rise in interest rates will completely take apart the house of cards. Then this isn't to shame anyone in that situation, but it's not normal, and we shouldn't treat it as normal. Proverbs 6, verses 3, 5, and carry on. Free yourself. Don't give sleep to your eyes. Like a gazelle, run from a hunter. So the banks are not your friends, okay? I want you to understand that the banks are not your friends. Them lending money is not to help you out. They are trying to enslave you. It's all predatory. Ever notice that there's a credit card sign up at every event, everywhere you go? Doesn't matter what it is. Somebody's trying to sign you up for a credit card. That there's a reason why in every city, the biggest buildings are banks and insurance companies. Every stadium is named after a bank and insurance company. Where's that money coming from? It's not because of their great generosity to you and they're just trying to help you out. They're taking your money. They're taking the money that has been entrusted to you. So treat them with a lot of suspicion. I had a couple examples of debt traps. I'll cut this a little short. I priced out a simple F-150 truck, went on Ford's website, priced out base model F-150, $55,000. What's their recommended financing on that? 7 years of financing, $752 a month, which works out to be $63,000. You're going to pay an extra $8,000 for that new truck on money that's already been taxed, that you've earned, that the government's taxed, and now you're going to pay another $8,000 out of your pocket over 7 years. If you cash advances on a credit card, get yourself in huge trouble. They're taxed up. Their interest rates on them are, I picked on one. It was 23%. Interest on a cash advance starts the day you take that cash advance out. It's a higher interest rate than everything else you might have on your credit card that you're carrying, and it is not paid off until everything else is paid off. It's the highest interest rate, starts immediately, and it's kept until the end. So if you're floating a balance, that cash advance keeps floating and keeps growing at 23%. You do not have anything in an investment portfolio that's making 23%. So you can't outwin this thing. You have to pay these things off quickly. Quickly on a mortgage. And again, I'll caveat mortgages, but a $300,000 mortgage, biweekly accelerated payments, which is the right thing to do, 5-year variable. I just pulled something right off the bank. If you run the numbers on that, it's going to be about $500,000. That $300,000 to borrow is going to cost you $500,000, an extra $200,000 out of your pocket. Now, I will say that that's an asset, and you do need a place to live, and you do need a house over your head, and you do need a place where your family can grow. So there are times where if you're building towards an asset, debt can be used, but you have to kill it quickly. There's some stuff on there, things you can do, but extra payments are your friend. They're paid directly onto the principal, and they make dividends, right? If you think about you're paying an extra $200,000. If you pay an extra $1,000 on that mortgage, all of that extra interest, that $1,000 directly on the principal is like $1,600 off your mortgage. So those things, try and just add $20 extra to every payment. And then in 2 months, add another $20 to every payment. You will find that it'll take years off of your mortgage. Little things like that add up. Okay, so budgeting. We are probably already over time. There's a lot of great tools on budgeting. I'm gonna drop a lot of this section pretty quickly here. There's a lot of great tools on budgeting. My wife and I, we did Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace University when we were early in our marriage. Fantastic tool, great tool. Highly recommend it. Most of that content's actually free online. Go to their website. It's on the forum. Go to their YouTube pages. You can catch most of that for free. Highly recommend it. And he's going to challenge you hard on some of these things. Copeland Financial is actually a local financial ministry. Excellent. They have a ton of content online, a lot of biblically based stuff. Fantastic. He's on the radio. He's on YouTube. They have fantastic budgeting worksheets. Highly recommend getting them and setting your budget with those. Again, links are on the sheet. Quickly with budgeting, make a plan and write it down. If it's not written down, it didn't happen. Take a proper financial snapshot of everything, your assets, your debts, how much money you're spending. Figure it all. It has to be on paper. You have to see the full snapshot. The next thing you want to do is you actually want to take up what's your idealized month. If you stripped away every bit of fluff and you had just what I need to live, what does that look like? And then how far are you off of that? Strip it right down, figure that out. And then ask yourself a question, and then figure that out. And then you can start adding things back in, what investing, giving, things like that. But really boil it down. What is the bare minimum I need to survive this next month? I will say, too, be careful with bills that you might pay infrequently. So you might have taxes, insurance, hot water rental that's multiple months. Make sure you divide that out and put it into the month. So many people misappropriate their months, and then all of a sudden a large bill comes in, and it messes them right up because they didn't account for, I pay insurance only once a year. Factor that into your month. If your ideal month, your minimum monthly expenses is greater than your income, this needs to change this week. Immediately stop. This is what you're doing this week. Your minimum month cannot be greater than your income. That is disastrous, and that will ruin you and your family. So you're going to pray diligently. You're going to start looking to get a second job. You're going to talk to your boss immediately. If it's not nailed down, you're selling it. If you have subscriptions, cancel every single thing. Get it right down. This has to go. You bring people around you. Talk to elders. Talk to your small group. Get accountability on this. Go at this hard, like the gazelle from a hunter. He doesn't stop running until he's in safety. This is what you have to do. 1 Timothy 5:8. If anyone does not provide for his own family, he has denied the faith and is worse than an unbeliever. Again, I'm not here to shame you, but this is serious. If you regularly do not provide for your family, the Bible treats us as someone who is in sin, and this needs to be dealt with immediately. Get help, talk to elders, get accountability, deal with this today. Talk to somebody today about this. And I'd also recommend this. Try a cash budget for a little bit. Try, like, as you'd fast from food, as you might take time in other things, try ripping your costs right down in life. Fast for a while. Do a cash-only budget. Really get it down and just push yourself to see how little you can live on for a time. Be pleasantly surprised at actually what you can do. If your budget's stable, you're going to want to work to build the emergency fund. Once you get going there, you're going to want to look to cover expenses, to cover income if you lost a job. Because, again, a lot of people might have a little bit, but once they lose a job, it just destroys everything. So you're going to want to look to use that. There's lots of good, interesting tools on what you can use and how to think through that. I'm going to stay on this topic just a little bit longer, even though no one's waiting at the door yet, so we've got another minute here. Teach your kids from an early age about having a budget. Maybe you're like, look, I'm deep into this and it's not going great, and I don't know how I'm going to get out of it. There are ways. Lots of people have gotten through tons of debt through very simple means. But teach your kids from an early age about having a budget. Saving money and giving. Our kids did chores, collected pop cans, watched dogs, saved dollars and cents. They're expected to give some. They're expected to save some long term. They're expected to save some short term, and they're welcome, and they're actually encouraged to spend a little bit. Encourage each category. They should learn to give. They should learn to put some away for a long time. They should learn to save up towards a bigger toy or help offset some sporting expenses. something that they can see a return, but it's going to take 6 months, a year for them to see it. It's going to encourage that saving muscle a little bit, and they're actually going to see the reward for that. It also gets them invested in some of the things, bigger things that they want, and allow them to spend right away. Let them know that labor has an advantage to it. I'd also say, at a reasonable age, maybe in their mid to late teens, show them your budget. Invite them in. Show them what it actually costs to live. Show them how much money you bring in. Show them how quickly it goes out. Let them see it. Let them know from an early age so they can set themselves up. We don't talk about these things. We keep our finances private. Show your kids. Show them what it actually a household costs to live. Let them break down this fiction that if they had a couple $1,000, they could buy a house. Or I'll just own a car. Show them what a car actually costs to run. There's lots of unique ways to save money. This church is fantastic. Use the free cycle page. Ask. A lot of people have sitting on stuff that they don't know they need. Ask, hey, I'm looking for this. You'll be surprised at how many people oh, please take it. Get it out of my house. I forgot I had this in the storage. On the real wealth building things, it's little by little. There's lots of great tools. The one thing I'll say this is that the three main things are investment accounts, RRSPs, and TFSAs. And if you're younger, first-time home buyer savings account. There's caveats, there's tax advantages, there's a reason why you use one and each other. If you're relatively young, even if you're not too young, a TFSA is probably your best friend. It is a tax-free savings account, so it means any growth in that is tax-free. And what I'd recommend is a self-directed TFSA where you get to decide what to do with it. Don't just use it as a general generic savings account. Put it as an investment account. All the growth in that account is tax-free when you want to use it. And what I'd actually recommend is don't think about buying the next Apple stock and getting super wealthy. Think about a dividend stock that pays you a little bit every month, every quarter, every year, and you grow that. Now, just to paint the one last picture, if you were young, I want to paint this picture for you. If you're young, and at 18 you decide you're going to prioritize your TFSA spending, your TFSA savings, it's about $7,000 a year, and you put that into it, you get regular yield growth, and you just keep feeding that back in. That will become a tool worth $1.7 million by the time you're 60 years old. And you could just pull that dividend money out and live on that alone and never touch the principal, something you can hand off to future generations. So there's lots of ways that are out there, just need to be really strategic. I'm sorry that I didn't have more time on some of this. Just wanted to paint a quick picture. I can answer questions in lunchtime or whatnot, and please use the resources on that page. Thanks so much.